All right, welcome back to another one of our season previews. Today we'll be talking about the Montreal Canadiens, and we've got Habs superfan Mitch, aka Beer Enjoyer. If you're on Twitter, you may have seen him. Mitch, thanks for joining.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Glad to talk hockey, what we all love.
Yes, sir. Getting pumped for the season. So before we dive in, I guess let's give the fans a little bit of background on your Habs fandom. How did that start, and why do you consider yourself a Habs fan, even though you live in Milwaukee?
Yeah, so I grew up in Michigan. My dad was a Red Wings fan. My whole family is big hockey guys, always at the ice rink. Uh, I grew up playing a goalie, and my favorite goalie at the time was Jose Theodore, number 60. I rocked his number for a number of years, all the way up until high school, basically, uh, and just followed the Habs ever since. And followed Jose until he retired, but always stayed Montreal fan, and I'll still root for the Red Wings. But Montreal's number one.
I love those kind of stories.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I think it's always interesting when somebody's just not like a fan of wherever they grew up necessarily. And I love when it's like, oh, I just like their jerseys in like Gretzky 99 and I never strayed from it or some shit like that. But yeah,
Right.
it's always cool hearing the stories. So all right, well let's jump in. What do we think the 2024-2025 season will have in store for Les Habitants?
All right. So, in my opinion, I mean, rebuild years right now. So we're still getting into it. They actually just put out they're putting out I think like an 8-part documentary series about this rebuild with the whole team. That's actually gonna be pretty cool. I think that's through like RDS, you can watch that, but pretty excited for it. We got young guys coming in, Lane Hudson as rookie, early Calder Cup, everybody's or not Calder Cup, I should say, whatever the heck that is. Fucking
Calder Trophy, Rookie of the
yeah,
Year. Yeah.
yeah. So rookie of the year, looking at that, and I don't know. There's a lot of hype around that. I'm pretty excited to see. I've been hearing a lot of good things about the guys talk and preseason camp about the guys' vision on the ice. So it should be pretty exciting. Line A trade was kind of crazy. I'm not gonna lie, didn't expect that. That should be fun coming in. I think he seems to be settling in pretty well towards Montreal. I heard just today that it seems like he's been on the team for a few years already. How well he's settling in, so that's going to be nice. We got Cole Caulfield coming back. We got Nick Suzuki, good guys, great chemistry together, and it looks like Urash Slavkovsky is going to be the line mate with them right now, and that kid has some poise on the ice to say the least. That should be a pretty fun front running line. I'm not going to lie. I don't expect much. I am willing to accept a low finish, but I know that we're right on the cusp of something great with this rebuild with all the guys that we got in draft picks. I think that we're going to surprise a few people. We're going to be a tough team. We got a Arbrzak guy that's going to be a tough guy to play against. It's our own Matt Rempe. So I think it's going to be a fun season. It shouldn't be too bad. It's going to be exciting hockey, and I think it's just going to be a good time. I'm going to roll with the season, whatever happens. All of a sudden, we're playoff contenders. I mean, I'll shoot for it. I'm not going to be bummed that we're not going to get a tall draft pick. We got way too many defensemen in our queue as is. So it's like, you know what? I'm ready to start shooting for bottom eight. I'll take that.
Yeah, I think, you nailed it at the beginning. There's so much emphasis on the youth with this team. So, it specifically speaking about Lane Hudson and Slavkovsky, what does a successful season for you look like for those guys?
For Lane, really, for me, I think just getting him stronger, getting him, worked into the speed of what the NHL will be. I saw today he's paired with Dave Savard, vet, on D. So I think just getting him more reps and getting him poised within the whole, NHL speed system, things like that's going to be great. I think, you know, guessing 10 goals, maybe a few assists. I'd like to see him move up within the power play unit to see what he can do there because what we saw at BU was insane. So I think that's going to be what a success would be for me for Lane is just getting him more into what NHL speed is going to be like. For Slough, I mean, I have high hopes. Everybody's been saying 70-point season. We'll see what that does. I mean, I think that he's got the capability, he's got the hockey sense, he's strong, he knows what he needs to do, and he's been, just saying like I'm more confident in what I am on the ice, and I think that's going to be a big thing for him is growing that confidence even more and uh, bringing that to the table. I think that especially with the pairing, if he stays with Nick and Cole, I think it's going to be a pretty high scoring season for him, whether it's just assists or points. But I think that's going to be something he'll develop into. So I think he's 20 right now, so kid's got a future, and I think that the more we can build him, is only going to be better.
That first line is so fun. You've got a guy who's built like a brick house who can shoot the puck 100 miles an hour. And then you've got the speedy water bug and Cole who can also
Yep.
shoot the puck 100 miles an hour. And then you've got that silky, smart two-way Nick Suzuki in the middle. That's a lethal first line. But two
Yeah.
guys I want to ask you about that maybe will both be on the second line. We'll see how it all shakes out. But Kirby Doc, a guy who misses
Yes.
so much time last year in my mind, is basically like an off-season addition at this point with how much time he missed. And then
Yep.
Josh Anderson, a guy who I give a lot of praise to, but had a little bit of a down year last year. Two
Yep.
big right-handed bodies coming back in the lineup.
Yep.
What do you expect out of them this year?
So Kirby Doc, I think that he's really starting to settle in within Montreal. I mean, he had a off year last year and didn't play much, and then I think it was October he didn't play from, and then I think that he's going to come back with a chip on his shoulder, wanting to prove himself, wanting to say like, you know what, I am worth what you guys traded me for. He's going to play well. And I think that he's got the right head on his shoulders, and I'm pretty excited for that one. Josh Anderson, yeah, I give praise to him as well. Our cup run that he had, it was a integral part. He couldn't put the damn puck in the net last year, but that is what it is. I think that he'll come back. He's going to try and prove himself. I look forward to seeing him play, and him and Brendan Gallagher are two guys that kind of get shifted around. Like we should get rid of them, but they're vets and they're good, they're strong, and they play with heart. And I think that's what a lot of these young guys need is seeing those guys play, full seasons and just showing them what Montreal hockey is all about. So I think they're going to be. That's how I view Josh Anderson for me.
Yeah, no, I feel like a lot of intangibles with Anderson and Gallagher too. Great locker room guys. They've been around for a long time, so you kind of want them around to help. I mean, along with Marty St. Louis, obviously that definitely helps. But it's always good to have a couple guys like that in the locker room.
Oh yeah.
I'm curious what we've kind of been doing a lot of the season previews for teams, looking at like forward core, D core, and goaltending. So out of those three categories, I guess what would you say you feel the best about, and then what do you think is like the biggest weakness where the biggest hole lies?
Yeah, so I think that our forward core is incredible right now. I mean, we got, Alex Newhook, you got Michael Bezzettas that's coming up pretty hard right now. And I think those two guys are going to be pretty dang solid. D core is great with, let me see here. You got Jack Kai back there. You got Jaden Struble, who actually came out pretty hard in the end of the season last year. A lot of guys were pretty impressed with him. And then within Caden Primo, Sam Montembeau, and goalies, I think, two young guys that have been filtered under, Jake Allen, Carey Price for a while. So I think that our biggest struggle may be within goaltending, but I think that it's just, young guys that we got and just got to keep them, moving. They showed a lot of good signs of greatness last year, and I think that it's only going to get better as time comes. We got Jacob Fowler in the he's in BC, I believe is what it is. So we got another guy coming. So just getting reps for those goalies, I think, is going to be a big help this year. So I think that's going to be our biggest way that we could improve. But I think that both those guys are probably going to be on a pretty 1A, 1B system rather than trying to have anybody stand out.
Do you have a itch as to which goalie you think might win out that goaltender battle?
I think it's going to be Sam Montembeault. He played quite a bit more last year and showed a lot of signs that he was well poised for, you know, hard hockey, a lot of hockey too. Uh, Caden's a great goalie, and I think that he's only going to learn more. But I do think Sam's going to itch that one out.
Primo was so highly touted coming out of college, and as soon as he got to the Habs, it just almost seemed like there was 2 or 3 guys ahead of him. Just in the pipeline between Montembeault, Allen. You nailed it. Last year Primo gets the most amount of games with the Habs, more than any of his other seasons combined. He has 23 games with them. What would a situation look like to you where you'd be going, okay, I think we need to give him more of the crease over Montembeault? Is that just straight up winning more games? Or are you looking at a couple intangibles here?
I think it's more so the intangibles. I would say some tangibles of like, you know, save percentage. You look at, goals allowed. How does he perform himself? Say you give up 2 goals, does he come back and say, I'm ready to take this back on next period. Let's run it back and let's make this great. Or is he going to falter and like show some signs of weakness there? I think that's going to be the way that, one way or another, if he shows poise within, you might see some more. And then if Sam is maybe a little bit more erratic with decisions like behind the net, things like that, young guys make crazy decisions. McCain and I watch Askarov play. He, we saw it this year. Like my fiance, not this most recent season, but the season before was like, I can't necessarily get behind Askarov always coming out of the net, making these crazy plays. But then this past year, he showed poise. He made the correct decisions, even though he was a little bit more aggressive. So I think it's just going to be a lot of how they handle themselves in signs of adversity through, potential struggling years with growing pains this year. Is I think whoever shows better poise within that is going to end up inching out the other.
Let's get you on the hot seat here. We got a lot of people who are saying the Habs could potentially be a dark horse for a playoff spot. Our friends over at DraftKings, for those interested, plus 720 for the Habs to make the playoffs. A very juicy price, a lot higher than I thought it would be. Do you think the Montreal Canadiens are a playoff team? Or if you don't want to answer that, give me like a 1 to 10 confidence rating you think they can make it.
I think they're a playoff team. I think it comes down to injuries. We've been riddled with injuries past year, so I think that's going to be where we run into, like with Doc and, Newhook had some, time and everything like that. And I think that if we have the injury luck on our side, I think we'll be right in there. Playoff contenders, probably, 6, 7, or somewhere right around there is where I expect. I think that with Line A coming in, and it's going to be a big push to say like, hey, we're thinking about it. And I've been hearing a bunch of things about, we're still looking at trades. We're still open and available to try and push this rebuild further than where it is right now. I think the management is like, we understand it's a rebuild, but I think that we have made the right decisions, put our team in the correct place for us to make moves as we want. And I know that I saw Nick Suzuki just recently said, like, I'd rather not be sellers at the trade deadline. He's like, the whole team wants to, put on a show for the city, like the city loves hockey. And so I think the mindset on this team is let's try and make a push for it.
I think we always talk about how Canadian teams have a much more cutthroat kind of market. They're put on a pedestal. There's a lot of high expectations from fans, even when the team is sort of in a rebuild mode. But I do think it's really interesting what this team kind of has going on from that point of view versus like the Leafs, obviously, or even like the Senators, who have been supposed to be sneaking in for the last 2-3 years now, still haven't done it. I love where the Habs are in terms of like, yes, this is a huge hockey market, but I think most fans still, aren't going to be like beside themselves if this team misses this year. There's, like you said, you got a level head about it where it's like, yes, you want them to make it, but I don't think they're going to be like coming for these guys' heads if they miss the playoffs. Whereas like Sens fans have had enough, like they are freaking ready for that
Yeah.
team to make the playoffs. And if they don't, it's going to be considered a huge disappointment again. And like the
They
Leafs, God forbid if they miss the playoffs, like Jesus, you'd never hear the end of it. So I kind of
Yeah.
like where the Habs are at, where it's like they don't have a ton to lose, but I do think they could make some noise. I definitely don't think they'll be the worst team in that division this year. And depending on what other Eastern Conference teams do, I think there's a way they can sneak in.
Sens can't decide if they need to make the playoffs or a new arena first. So they've got, 2 layers of problems to work with
That's
there.
right.
I totally agree with Mac. I think these guys are, one, a much more fun team to watch, and two, are in a much better spot to actually make the playoffs.
They get
Yeah,
the fun
definitely.
team label. They definitely get the fun team label. Like I feel like we're gonna get a lot of like 5-3 games with these guys. I get that
Oh
vibe.
yeah. Yeah, I think if we score, 5 goals a game, we lose. I don't necessarily care. It means the team's, having fun and we're putting pucks in the net and, getting these guys confidence for continuing to score and building that a whole team camaraderie. I think that's going to be good.
Yeah, awesome. Well, you fellas got any other questions, or we'll let Mitch go?
I think I'm all set, Mitch. Thank you so much, man. We really appreciate the time.
Yeah, should be
Yeah.
a good year to watch the Habs. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it'll be good. I'm certainly excited. Say you guys are making making me miss the old preseason game we got against the Flyers right now.
Sorry about
Oh,
it.
no.
Appreciate
There
the
we go.
sacrifice, though, as always.
Hey, it's all good. Dang old Canadian streaming services are giving me shit anyway.
Thanks, man. Take it easy.